Do you want to know how to access the true American dream? I have with us on the podcast today one of the top 10 real estate agents in the United States for the past 4 years. But he is so much more than that. He has a rags to riches story, moving to the United States with $120 in his pocket, with a dream and a big heart full of aspiration and ambition. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to have the one and only, I only give him one name. He's like Madonna. Santiago is going to be on the podcast right after this.
Lorimer Podcast.
Greetings and welcome to the Real Estate Entrepreneur Podcast. Yes, it's your mate, Pete Lorimer, and I am here with one of the most inspirational figures in real estate, and we're going to get into that in a second. Now, Santiago Arana is, you're known all over the United States. You're known all over the world. Now, you have been, okay, ladies and gentlemen, check this out. There are approximately 2 million real estate agents between Canada and the US, 2 million. It'd be nice to be in the top 100, right? Imagine being in the top 10. But imagine being in the top 10, not once, not twice, but 4 years in a row. Now, Santiago, there's a lot of people in our industry who are lovely, colorful folk who have bluster and have, they're nice enough folk. You will never meet a more humble dude than Santiago. He's a family guy. Whenever I see him, his first words out of his mouth are always, "How's the family?" Always. Kid's good. Never doesn't talk real estate. Came here from Bolivia with $20 in his pocket. Didn't speak a word of English, and is now one of the top 10 real estate agents in the entire United States for 4 years in a row. I'm sure you're going to want to figure out how that happened, and I'm sure he's going to share it with us because he is a man that tends to give away what he knows. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause. You're like Madonna, right? I'm not even going to use your last name. I'm just going to say, Santiago, welcome to the show. What's up, mate?
How you doing, man? Thanks for having me. This is awesome. Wow, what an intro, man. I was not expecting that. I did get I'm going to be fair to be consistent, but I came with $120, 100 more than what you just said right now. So it was a lot.
Oh, you came with $120. Yeah. Oh, shit. Then that changes. Now I know why you're in the top 10. I mean, yeah, it doesn't change anything.
But thank you for having me here. It's always good to see you, man. I have a appreciation for what you do and what you've done. Also, we've known each other for a long time, and we've gone through the goods and the bads of the markets and the COVID and everything, right? So happy to be here. Happy to answer any questions. Happy to share any knowledge or any experience that has served me well, that all I can do is share with everybody that is in here right now. And whether that resonates with people or not, that's personal, right? But I'll do my best.
Amazing. And I'm going to get into the Think and Grow Rich stuff because that's one of my favorite books. But I want to kind of start with where we are today. Now, I saw you posted something on stories, and I know I'm probably going to make you feel awkward because I know you don't like to brag. I know you're not that dude. You're a humble guy. But for the listeners out there, this is 2021. Can you give us an idea of how much you have closed since January the 1st this year?
Sure. I closed 239 million with 63,000.
$240 million in 5 months. Not even 5 months. 4.5 months.
Yes. It's been a good year so far.
It's been an incredible year. So there's a lot of folks who are getting into real estate. They see you. It's almost like I'm interviewing a rock star. It's like I'm interviewing, whoever. I'm Justin Bieber. Well, not Justin Bieber. You probably represent Justin Bieber. But it's like I'm interviewing. You're at the very, very top of your game. And sometimes agents who are in the business can feel detached from that. But I know that you came here. You didn't walk into a real estate career. You didn't walk into luxury. You didn't have things given to you. You worked for them all. And what I'd like to cover is, how do you go from being a waiter with $100 And then how do you go from your first sale to your next, into now selling commonly houses that are 30, 40, 50, 70 million dollars? What's the roadmap? Because I think it's important for guys to be inspired by your story.
Absolutely. Well, there's a lot of things that go with it, but I can tell you that one of the most important things probably is mindset, right? It's what's inside your head and between your ears, above your neck. The mindset for me was, I was never a waiter, right? I was waiting tables, right? I knew that was a period of my life that I was going to be waiting tables, and I did it happy, and I got a ton of experience, and I loved it, and that was a period of my life. But I never thought as a waiter, right? I always knew that I was going to be somewhere else, and I didn't really have a clear picture in the beginning when I moved here because I was new to the country. I didn't speak the language. I was getting to know what this country is about, and eventually after research, because I studied business administration and marketing, and the reason why I came to the US to learn English is because I was going to do a master's degree in finance that I never ended up taking because it was in English. So I came to learn English, and then I never left. So it really is the mindset, right? I came to learn English here, and I happened to like it, and I happened to fell in love with my wife and get married, and there's no reason for me to go and took any master degree or anything, not even back to my country. But when I made the decision to stay here, I started to do research of like, okay, what is it that I can work and how much money I'm going to make doing this? And I start dropping resumes to different places, right? Like insurance companies, marketing companies, whatever. And what they were offering there as a base salary for it was less than what I was making in cash in the restaurant, right? So it wasn't really exciting for me. And then I start projecting, right? Like what's going to happen in 10 years if I work for that company, right? But how high can I grow? Who's the top executive on that company and how much money they make? And I start, coming up with numbers like 250, 300,000, 350. I was like, okay, that's definitely better than waiting tables. But then someone suggested real estate to me, and I wasn't really familiar with it at all. I started doing research, and I said, okay, who are the biggest players in LA? And I found 2 or 3 of them, and I said, how much money these dudes say? And then I looked at it and I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. So I think it's the mindset, right? And once you have your mindset and you know where you're going and you have a direction, you need to have a direction, because imagine getting in an Uber and telling the guy to drive around LA and not know where to go. It'll be a very, very, very expensive trip and a waste of time, right? So if you don't have a direction on where you want to be, where you want to end, and as a goal, right, as a big goal, and you don't have a clear idea in your mind and visualize about how you going to feel when you're there. You see, for me, every night I visualize where I'm going to be down the road. I feel it. I lived it so many times in my head that to me it's real. It's there. It's happened already. So the universe is just going to accommodate the right opportunities, the right people, the right timing, everything when I go on the street for me to get to that place that is already happening in my mind. Right.
And is that a Tony Robbins thing? Because I know you're a big fan of Tony Robbins, as am I.
Yeah, it's a combination of things, right? I mean, it's a lot of those masters teachers, right? I mean, it's Tony Robbins, it's Joe Dispenza, it's all those guys that think that that way, and then the Think and Grow Rich, the Napoleon Hills,
right?
That you can create your life.
And so this is what I'm loving about this is you're giving a roadmap to people. So first of all, we have to visualize it, right? And if you want the cliff notes to visualization, watch The Secret, right? Watch The
Secret. Exactly. That's the easiest. That's what I watch and I understood first.
Right. And
then you can elaborate more into it, right? And I even have a few other podcasts with visualization that I can walk you through it if you go to my YouTube channel.
Oh, amazing. So once you get to the visualization of where you want to be and the houses you want to sell and the area that you want to sell in, that's fine. But how then did you make the pieces? Did you farm areas? Did you do postcards? Did you do letters? What did you do?
Massive amount of work. I'm talking about working really hard, working when nobody else is working, showing up when nobody else is showing up. So what I used to do, I wasn't very good at cold calling, for example, because you have all the basics, right? It's like sending letters, expires, FISBOs, door knocking, cold calling. You have all those things that you can use to generate leads. For me, cold calling wasn't good because I I have an accent now. Imagine how it was back in the day, right? It was really, imagine getting a phone with me.
Me too. I have a funny accent too. I'm a Brit.
British accent is like automatic success in LA, you know, like United States people like, and you understand it. I mean, you're the mother language, right? You originated. Right. For me, it was like, dude, I was not speaking very good English. So cold calling was not going to work for me. But what I did like was the personal part of this business, right? Is meeting people and talking to people and connecting with people, which is what I always enjoyed. And believe it or not, the period of time that I was waiting tables, it taught me a lot about people, right? Because for 5.5 years, I waited tables in a number of restaurants. So I had the opportunity to meet nice people, not so nice, rude, manners, no manners, cheap. The moment I sit down at a table, towards the end when I was like waiting tables, I had 2 words with somebody and I knew what my tip was going to be. I know they were going to drink or not, and I know they was going to be an asshole or not. So that gave me like a really, really good sense to understand and read the energy on people. So for me, one of the biggest things that I did was door knocking. So, I started to door knock in an area that I wanted to door knock, and I felt that I wanted to get listings. So that was big for me. I used to door knock between 200 and 250 doors a week. While I was waiting tables, double shift, and doing the rest of the stuff in between, 7 days a week. So I will go door knocking in the morning, go to the lunch shift, work in the restaurant, make $80-$100, change, go door knock again, or go make phone calls, go back to the restaurant, work the dinner shift, and then go home. And then Saturdays and Sundays, I like to see somebody else's open houses because I didn't have listings in the beginning. So I went to agents that I work at the company at the time they had enough listings, and I asked them to let me see their open houses. And I sat Saturdays and Sundays. But why Saturdays? Nobody sits on Saturdays. Exactly to the point. On Saturday morning, I was at 6 o'clock in the morning putting my signs out because I had to put my own signs at the time. And people will say, why 6 in the morning? Don't just put it at 12:30, before 1 o'clock or before 2 o'clock. Why? Because it's free advertising, right? If I put my sign at 6 o'clock in the morning, the dudes are going in a run, the girls are going to have coffee. Everybody that is walking by is already seeing my name, right? So by the time the open house came, like a lot of people rode the bike, seen it, right? So I used to do that on Saturdays. And on Saturdays, guess what? How many open houses you have on Saturdays? Not many, very few. So where will everybody who was looking at houses on Saturday end up? At my open houses. Regardless whether it was the house they were looking for or not, I will end up meeting people that are looking for houses. So I started to build up, my database that way. And I did it for long enough where by the time 2012 came, I just built a very, very large database. And when the market got hot again, the phone wouldn't stop ringing. It hasn't stopped since then.
So, wow. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, what you should do is you should rewind the past like 3 or 4 minutes, because you now have the roadmap. You have the roadmap from starting a new career with nothing to building an enormous business. Now, obviously, you have an exorbitant amount of charisma, and you're a nice guy, and you can just feel that you're a genuine person. Well, I've just watched Halston. I don't know if have you seen Halston yet? That might date this podcast, but Halston is phenomenal on Netflix, and it talks about this entrepreneur who's in fashion who has enormous success, like yourself. Now, I don't see what happened to him happening to you. However, the mindset, we've seen this in our industry when people get success, right? Because when you're in the trenches and when you're slugging away and when you're building your business and when you're getting the numbers and the numbers are doing this, you feel like it's almost like you're in a boxing ring, and it's like, I'm going to keep slugging it out. Then there comes a point when you hit success, and you hit that many years ago. You're one of the most successful real estate agents in the world. How do you not let the demons come into your mind of, I'm scared to lose what I have? How do you keep the mindset going?
Well, they do. That's what the mind does, right? It's like a thermostat, right? And you need to learn how to regulate your thermostat. So you set the temperature at 71 degrees in this office, right? When it's getting hot, it kicks in, right? So it gets to 72, kicks in to bring the temperature down to 71. So if we've been conditioned for our entire lives through school, through families, through religion, through where we live, through culture, to think certain way, that's our thermostat, right? So you need to raise your standards and raise your thermostat to a better, more comfortable place, because what's going to happen is when you get into a place that you've never been, automatically that's what the mind's going to do. It's going to say, oh, dude, you're going to lose, something bad's going to happen. This cannot be good. This is too good to be true, and all these things. So what does the thermostat do? Turn on, and you auto-sabotage yourself thinking too much, right? But if you can raise that to where it's comfort. And for me, for example, I'll tell you like 3 simple words that came from a guy that I really, really look up to it and admire very much, Kobe Bryant. Job not done. It's not. For me, it's not. I mean, for me is great year. What's next? What's the next year? And what's the next year? And what's the next year? But not from a point of view as like, oh, how much money I'm making or this or that or whatever is. For me, is that's the way to keep me always looking at what's next, as opposed to try to auto-sabotage myself. It's like, what's going to happen now, right? It's like, you finish the year, let's start another year again. You close an escrow, what's the next escrow? You sold a house, what's the next listing? So I think that it's a constant work, right? It's a constant work. I mean, I listen to audiobooks every day. I probably go through 2 or 3 books a month on all this kind of stuff, because I need to be reminded every day, and I need the tools constantly. And you need to be learning constantly, because the moment you stop learning, you start dying, right? And that's what the mind does. The mind is always going to bring this.
Love that phrase.
Because it's ancient, right? Like the mind is in there for thousands of years and it's been doing that. And that's what it's supposed to do, because it's conditioned to get you to survivalship, So that's why you come from a place of fear. But if you understand where you're going, what you want, and you're working hard and you have faith, right? Faith and fear can hold hands. It just doesn't work that way. You either have one or the other one. You can say, oh, I have faith, I'm going to do this, and be like, yeah, what if I don't? Yeah, that doesn't work. So it's one of the two, right? So if you have a choice of living in fear or living in faith, you make the choice to live in faith, and you learn the tools on how to do it. And there's great teachers to teach you how to do it. There's amazing books. I mean, they just start doing something. The problem is that I observe in people is the execution, right? I go and give seminars and I give talks, and we're talking, and I tell them everything that I'm telling you right now. Always, but always at the end, there is one person that raises the hand and says, last question. Tell us the truth, though. I mean, that sounds good. It's all good. Thank you so much. But really, 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 what is the truth? What is it? What is it that really got you all these listings and that? And I said, I'm going to see you in 6 months from now. Okay. And I'll give you all a list of the things that you need to do. And in 6 months, I'll be shocked if out of the 200 people that are here right now, 2 are doing it. Shocked. They all drop the ball in the execution, right? And that's the trick. The key is execution. It's like having the discipline and the ability to wake up every day and do what you say you're going to do and perform.
Right. It's almost like Kobe, right? Kobe always got his free throws. Not that I'm a basketball guy. I don't really know too much about basketball.
Me neither.
He hit his free throws because for every free throw, there were 10,000 practice shots.
Yeah.
And it's the same as exactly as what you're saying. There is a theme, though, woven through your career, which is I'm hearing the same voice of conviction, and it's not conceit. It's not like I want to be the biggest, baddest bitch on the block. You're not that guy. You're annoyingly down to earth. It's like you're this superstar, and you're like so lovely always, right?
Thank you, man.
But I'm hearing the same voice now as when you were a waiter, which is, this is something that's going to lead to something else, it's going to lead to something else, it's going to lead to something else, it's going to lead to something else. And there's a mantra that I live by, which is, I have ambition, I have goals, but I stay out of the results. I stay out of expectations. I stay out of, because expectations for me are just a roadmap to disappointments. So it's all what we control. We don't control the results. We control the action. We control, to use your word, the execution. So I looked at, I have a wonderful kind of like a detailed account of you before you came on the podcast. I know you anyway, but it's interesting. A lot of your key points, I want to talk about family for a little bit because family is incredibly important to me.
Yes.
It seems to me that your family, you always post pictures of your wife and your kids and you at the beach and you having fun. And I want to hear about that holistic approach to business, because for me, family makes me a better businessman.
Of course. Of course. I mean, like in order to be a good businessman, and in order to, for me, again, everything that I talk is just my personal life, right? You can be the best version of yourself if you don't give yourself what you need. And for me, my needs are obviously family, my kids, having breakfast, having dinner with them, sharing in the weekends, spending time with them now that I have the ability to do it. So going surfing. And so all those things feed my soul, right? And then there is also things that you need to do for yourself. So if you do those things and you find balance, and there are people that might not be family people, that's okay. If you're not someone that has kids and is married and that's not your thing, you still need something separate from business that fulfills you, right? So you need to find something that gives you that inner peace, that satisfaction. Take care of yourself and love yourself, because if you don't love yourself, it's very hard for people to love you. So if you are able to give that to yourself, now you're ready to go out there and conquer the world, right? Because your cup is full. And when your cup is full and you show up in an appointment, people feel that energy and they want to deal with you. But if you go and show up in an appointment and you're not content with who you are and what you're doing, people don't going to want to do business with you. It's as simple as that.
I agree. It's like our industry is as much attraction as anything else, and I feel that confidence and self-love. If you roll, because whenever I've rolled up, and I'm sure you're the same, when you roll up, you're like, this is awesome. I've got this opportunity, and I'm hanging out with these folks. And if I get the listing, great. And if not, I've hung out in an awesome house for a few minutes. Now, naturally, we want to get the listing, and you want to get the listing, but if you don't, you're not in that, what did I do wrong? You're just, it's not meant to be, right?
Yeah, but I always actually make the call, right? When I don't get a listing, I make the call and I'm like, I like to find out what I could have done better. And what was the thing that made you decide to go with that somebody else? What did that person offer you that I didn't? Or what was it? Was it the way I talk? Was it because I'm this? I'm always curious, because I think if you fail or you don't get a listing, let's find out why, right? And then let's fix it, right? I mean, going back to Kobe, I mean, if Kobe missed a shot from any point of the court, after the game, he will stay for 2-3 hours shooting over and over from that same spot that he didn't make the shot until he made it, right? So that's the thing. It's like, if you can figure out what happened, that to me is a win. It's a win, because now you took care of that thing that you didn't do right? And now the next time that thing comes up, you're gonna nail it.
I totally agree. Whenever I miss out on things, I always send an email or a text, or I will call someone, and I don't want to put them on the spot. So I just say, hey, I'm happy for you. That's a great agent. Of course. Just so I can learn and grow.
Exactly.
Is there anything that I could improve, or is there anything I didn't have enough of?
Yeah, exactly. I do the same. And people, by the way, people love that. I mean, I had occasions where I call someone, I say, you know what, tell me exactly that, right? You don't need to tell me who you are, but if you chose to go with X person and I know the person, you're in great hands. You're going to be okay. And I'm going to bring, if I can, the buyer for it. And, but I want to know what was it like, I want to learn, right? I want to become better. And one guy one time appreciated so much. He's like, wow, I love that about you. I have another house that is yours. And literally I got a listing that I lost from calling and asking why I did wrong. And immediately I got a listing, So I think it's important to fail and learn why, and then fix that,
So let's screw down on that a little bit, right? Because we've talked a lot about success. What are some of the what are difficulties that you have? What is the most difficult thing in your career right now? What are obstacles that you're trying to overcome?
Difficulties and obstacles are professionally, I think in this business is that you're dealing with individuals, especially in the high end, right? We're dealing with individuals that are very sensitive with time. They're very sensitive with money. They have a lot of people that work for them. They're trying to protect them. So it's having the ability to talk to those lawyers, having the ability to talk to those business managers and get them to want to hear to the realtor, right? Because, I mean, the reality is like all these lawyers and all these business managers, they think and they feel like they're a few levels above a realtor, right? So when you get on a phone or when you get in a conference call or in a meeting or anything with them, you have to have the ability to put yourself at the same level, right? But not by just by acting, right? By acting in a certain way where they will respect you. So that's always a challenge because you're dealing with personalities, you're dealing with egos. So that's a challenge. The other challenge is really it's bandwidth, right? It's time. There's so many hours in the day that you have, and you need to allocate those hours to the right place. So for me, it's scheduling, right? It's really I don't take every listing, right? Because I can't, and I'm not a team people, as you know. I'm not. There's few players in town that they have teams with 20, 30, 50 people, right?
Right.
I have 2 assistants and that's it. So one agent that works closely to me. So I have enough time, right, for X amount. So it's choosing who you want to work with, which is a beautiful thing, right? Having the ability to choose who you want to work with as opposed to like getting whatever you can.
Right.
So it's recognizing who you're going to work with and dedicate the time that they deserve, and then just prioritizing the things that you need to do. Another challenge is like things are happening in the world that are out of our control. I mean, the economy, this, that, Corona, all those things are out of our control. So you can open escrows and the next day can cancel, right? And you need to deal with that disappointment and then put it back on the market. So I think there is like constant challenge that you come across, and you need to have the ability to move quickly from that, right? So like last week, I went to a listing appointment and I really wanted a listing, and it's literally in the area where nobody sells more than me in that area. Okay, it's in Brentwood, and it was a beautiful property, and I thought I got it. I walked out. There were three trustees, and they all were great, and they all asked the right questions, and I nailed. In my mind, I nailed it, and I walked out happy. And I got a call 2 days ago that I didn't get it, right? So it's a disappointment, right?
Sure.
But what did I do? Ask, can you please tell me what it was? And they were like, nothing specifically. I think that, they connected better with someone, the age base. And now that they told me that was more like they felt that they were more connected to that person because it was more at their age. Which is fantastic, right? Because I can change that, right? I cannot become older or younger. If that's a factor of me getting a listing, there's nothing I can do about it. So, but now I know. So I say, okay, I feel good about it. And then next, and I forgot about it already. And I showed it 3 times already to 3 different buyers, right? And there's no feelings or anything other than like, I'm going to sell it. Yeah. And that's a thing that I think is a big challenge for a lot of agents, because now as a company owner here at the agency, hiring agents for the last 8 years and meeting a lot of people, and they come to my office and ask questions and they have their challenges, and everything is they don't have the ability to move on quick. And I understand in the beginning it's hard, right? Because a few people told me, yeah, because you have so much going on that one escrow falls out, it doesn't matter. Yes, that's true. But if you can start getting used to feeling that way in the beginning, what it does is takes you from that negativity. So if you have one listing and falls out of escrow, okay, move on. Because if you keep thinking, it's a Monday that falls out of escrow. If by Friday you're going out to dinner and you're thinking about, oh, I wish I would close, I would be good right now, and this and that, and you continue to torturing yourself, right? Then what you're doing is you're putting in a place that you're closing yourself to other things that might be open in front of you. I know, looking, because you're so focused in the door that closed that all the 10,000 windows are open, or not in your face, right?
Right.
So that's, I think, very important. That's a big challenge in this career, is because there's a lot of disappointments. I mean, you need to, like, if you're doing real estate and you're not ready to take a hit multiple times a day, you're in the wrong career.
Yeah, it's funny. You've met my wife, Santiago, Cindy. You've met Cindy, and yes. She's, I said many times, she's a Buddhist, and she came from Vietnam, and she has really kind of helped me through the years to resculpt my philosophy. And she used to say to me early on, when I lost a listing, I was a new agent, I had a new baby, maybe 2 new babies, and every listing, you know, and it was a new career. I'm like, why did I lose it? I must have done something wrong. And she looked at me because she is a Buddhist, and she goes, the listing was never meant to be yours. It was meant to be the other guy's listing. Those two people were meant to work together. So you didn't do anything wrong. It just wasn't your time.
That's correct.
And over the years, that sank in, and I passed that on to my guys now. And I always say, when you're in the middle of a disappointment, when you're in the middle of heartache, you might not know at that moment why it happened, but there will be a lesson in it. And it will be a lesson that will enrich your life.
Yes.
And you may not know it for a year or 2 years or 5 or 10 years, but trust me.
Or maybe never.
Or maybe never.
You know, and the moment you understand that, that's so true, Peter. I'm glad you said this, because the moment that you understand that, honestly, now I just sit. Last night, I mean, I'll show it to you in my text message. It's just crazy that this conversation got brought in here. I got kicked out of a listing, and I was so pissed. I didn't understand why. It wasn't fair. I was going through that, but I now have trained my muscle in my mind to move on. I got a text message from the person last night apologizing, telling me that they were completely wrong, that I was right. And, you know, so now what I do is, like, when something happens, like your wife says, it's not meant to be, I just sit and wait. I'm like, I can't wait to see what that's going to happen. I can tell you, like, how many times I didn't get a listing, and then a lawsuit happened in that property because it wasn't built right or something. And I'm like, I'm glad that I didn't brought into that, because I would have been brought into that lawsuit if I hadn't been the agent, right? So a lot of times that happens. So that's why you need to have the ability to move on to the next one, right? It's like when you get a parking ticket. Every time I get a parking ticket, my assistant can tell you, I go straight from the ticket, pay it, done. Because if you have it in your desk for 2 weeks, what's going to happen? Every time you freaking walk in your office and you see the parking ticket, you're like, why? Pay it, move on, right?
Yeah, it's a beautiful philosophy, and it took me a while to adapt. And I think in my case, I can't say this about you. In my case, I try not to take things personally, and I did in the beginning. It's not about me; it's about them, right? It's about the clients, or it's about the agents. And then the other thing is, for me, what I found is I kind of borrowed my wife's philosophy of Buddhism and the universe, and I have something bigger than me that I think, I'm going to be dead and gone in like a few years, and the earth will continue for billions more years. So, you know, I kind of hand over I realize that I'm not in control of the steering wheel of the planet, or even of my life, you know. And once I adopted that, thanks to her, the weight came off my shoulders and my career flourished.
Amazing. Yeah.
You know,
that's how it works.
I want to ask you a couple more questions, because I know we're running out of time here. One question is, just so the guys can learn and grow over the course of your career, what has been 1 or 2 of the biggest mistakes you've made? And I don't necessarily mean at listings, but I just mean choices or paths that you've taken.
I don't know what the 2 biggest ones are, because I made a lot of mistakes. Mistakes that I've done in the past is like going to a listing agreement and not being prepared, thinking that you got it, right? And that's when it comes, like, it's good to be confident, but when you start becoming too confident, you start losing, right? Because you can't get them all. So mistakes, not preparing yourself. And when I talk to people, and when I do these seminars or whatever, I talk about what's important. What the most important thing for me is, right? Wake up at 5 a.m, meditate, be at the gym at 6 o'clock. Don't look at my phone until 7:30 when I get out of the gym. You know, eat healthy, exercise, listen to an audiobook when I'm working out. Those are the things that get me to at 7:30 when I'm turn on the phone, to be on at best of me, right? If those things don't happen in the morning, or jumping in the ocean, or something that is radical for me, I can show up 100%, right? So when you do that and you take care of yourself, the only other thing you need to do is know your craft. Because, like in The Secret says, right? You can visualize all you want, you can meditate all you want, you can listen all the books, you can have all this knowledge, but if you don't apply it, then what's good for, right? So you need to combine that with understanding your market. Go in the MLS, like, you know, as much as you can. Look at what's out there. Look at dollar per square. Look at what sells more, what style sells more, what side of the street. You need to understand your craft really well. Know the contract. Know what every point of the contract means. So when you prepare yourself better, plus you're in alignment with yourself and you're doing the things that fulfill you, I mean, you won't lose. And if you do, it won't be because it's something that's under your control, and then you learn something and you become better.
Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, Santiago truly has a rags to riches story. You are the American dream, dude. I mean, I came to America because I thought it was a better place, although I came from a very privileged country.
Thank you.
But you have, even from afar, you inspire me, dude, because I know that you never get rattled. Whenever I think of you, I think of that big smile. And I always think that you always ask about the kids. You and Dennis Chernoff always ask about the kids first, which really it speaks volumes to who you are as a person. I want to get from you some recommendations of audiobooks for the guys. What are your top three? Your top favorites?
Dude, I mean, a great book for what we do. And just to give you this, I will start with Relentless by Tim Grover. Mm-hmm. Great book. I would definitely read Think and Grow Rich. Right? And I will read the Placebo Effect. So you have Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, Relentless by Tim Grover, and the Placebo Effect by Joe Dispenza.
Amazing. And then where can people find you? Because I know they're already searching on Google and people everybody knows you, but for those 2 or 3 people in maybe Idaho or wherever that don't know you and they're trying to find you, sure. Where do you live? Which platform do you live on? I
cancel everything except Instagram. So I'm in Instagram under my name, Santiago Arana, with a check mark because I think there's a few other ones. And then on YouTube, I have a YouTube channel actually that I post all my videos of all the classes that I taught based on the Think and Grow Rich book. They're super cool. I do it in my office, so it's very real estate oriented. Of goal settings and all that. And then I did a whole 8 or 9 episodes while Corona hit, because I saw that people were really scared and they were like, having a hard time. So I created a series of, I think 8 or 9 episodes in there that talks about what can we control and what not, what you should be doing with your mind while we're going through the pandemic and how to navigate those times, right? Yeah. So that's pretty cool too. So either YouTube or Instagram and you'll see it.
And again, ladies and gentlemen, to end with, there is a thread that is woven through this great man and all the great men and women that I've met in my life. And the thread is this: they're always quick to give away what they know. And it isn't some kind of look at me, I look like I'm giving shit away. It's giving it away in that Richard Branson kind of way. And I know that I'm a better man when I give away. And I think you feel the same.
Yeah,
and
of course.
So what that means is I'm going to ask you to give away more time in about another year to get you back on the podcast, because we barely scratched the surface. So Santiago, you are a god, mate, and you're a pal, and you are someone I admire, and I cannot thank you enough for being on the podcast, dude. You dropped some golden nuggets.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you for having me. I feel flattered. I love what you're doing, and I'm happy to come back anytime, and I'm here.
You're the best, mate. That's about it for the podcast this week. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back again next week with another topic and another great podcast. So don't forget to hit that button and subscribe. Until next time, take care, and I will see you later.